The mysterious Starchild Skull, found in Mexico in 1920. Who the original star children were, what is their origin, and who are they? On every continent, there are incredible stories of children so advanced that some believe they've come from the stars and hail ancient mysteries reports. The Starchild Skull, quote unquote, odd looking ancient skull that has perplexed researchers since its discovery in 1920. Some believe it's a human child skull, while others believe it's a human alien hybrid, whereas many claim that it sprung from a pure alien. But before we get into the details about Starchild Skull, we need to know about a secret human race called the Star Children. The Star Children on every continent. There are incredible stories of children so advanced that some believe they have come from the stars, they have superhuman intelligence, knowledge of other worlds, they have access to such information that there is no way they could know about, and they have the strange, mysterious powers. They're called the Star Children by the ancient astronaut theorists, and most of the world knows them as the Indigo Children. Millions of people from around the world believe that we were invested in the past by extraterrestrial beings. That if it would be true, did ancient aliens really happen to shape our history? The mystery behind the junk DNA. According to geneticist David Reich of Harvard Medical School, there is in fact something mysterious inside us that has yet to be identified. According to geneticist David Reich of Harvard Medical School, the study published in Form 2013, Reich examined the genome of the Neanderthals and another group of ancient hominins known as the Denisovans, both of which were cohabitants of humans. He discovered that their DNA dates back to more than 400,000 years, containing an unknown ancestor, and some geneticists have concluded that it is as the junk DNA. But ancient astronaut theorists believe that these junk DNA might not be junk after all. According to them, DNA is a code, and just because its code has not yet been cracked, it does not mean that it's actually junk DNA. Maybe its origin is from another world. Did extraterrestrial beings help to shape human history? In 2007, a famous anthropologist named Professor John Hawkes from the University of Wisconsin-Madison had carried out research on human DNA with his team. They found evidence that 1,800 genes, or 7% of all those in the human body, had undergone natural selection in the past 5,000 years, which means that we are more different genetically from people living 5,000 years ago than they were from Neanderthals. Even stranger, that in the last 40,000 years, humans have changed as much as they did in the previous 2 million years, and humans have evolved 100 times faster than at any time since the rise of of man some 6 million years ago. So if this is true, that somehow the extraterrestrial beings were involved in making our prehistoric life, then might there be a connection between extraterrestrial and the Star Children? Some real accounts of Star Children. From history, our civilizations witnessed several accounts of superhuman powers and abilities. Most of them have been forgotten, while some have been remembered through chronicles and legends. However, these extraordinary humans have never stopped being born on Earth, and we can still find them. They're secretly known as the quote-unquote Star Children. In 1982, the Chinese government launched a nationwide search for children with extraordinary abilities. Some of the talents they looked for the psychic powers, telekinesis, and the ability to manipulate even time and space. There was one girl who could wave her hand over a bush and spontaneously accelerate the time a flower buds. Then the buds popped up right in front of everyone's eyes. Some could read with closed eyes. Some could even move objects telepathically. To say these extraordinary children can be found everywhere in this world, some of their accounts are briefly cited. Number 1, Sho Yano. In 2002, Sho Yano graduated in summa cum laude from the Loyola University Chicago just at the age of 12. And 6 years later, he received his PhD in molecular genetics in cell biology at the University of Chicago. 2. Ainan Celeste Colley. In 2006, 6-year-old Ainan Celeste Colley gave a science lecture on acids and alkalis at a Singaporean school, making him the world's youngest known science teacher. Number 3, Adam Kirby. In 2013, Adam Kirby becomes the youngest member of the British Mensa. In just 2-year-old, he scored 141 in an IQ test, where an IQ between 90 and 110 is considered average, and above 120 is superior. The great scientist Albert Einstein had an IQ of 160. Number 4 is Mary Patella. According to Nikki Patella, her daughter Mary had told that her home is in the sky, and she showed numerous stunning abilities such as telekinesis and psychic visions. Parents of star children know that their children are different from other children. Maybe their child is psychic and talking about seeing things that other people can't see, hearing things that other people can't hear, or knowing things that other people don't know. Some of the star children have very high energy. Even they can go a long period without sleeping or without eating, and the statistics shows that the term "is my child indigo" has been searched on the internet for thousands of times. And then we have number 5, Boris Kipriyanovic, in the region of Russia. This boy named Boris Kipriyanovic, who is believed to be a reincarnated star child. His knowledge and skills have fascinated not only his parents, but the researchers who studied him. And according to his parents, he showed such extraordinary psychic abilities that at first they were worried about their baby. They say their child regularly visits a well-known anomalous zone on a mountain to fulfill his needs and energy. Boris reveals such detailed information about Mars, planetary systems, other civilizations, and unknown extraterrestrial things that there was no way he could have known about. Specialists of the Institute of Earth Magnetism and Radio Waves of the Russian Academy of Sciences photographed his aura, which turned out to be unusually strong. He has the orange spectrogram, which says that he is a very joyful person, that also suggests him not to be a psychic patient at all. Star children in history. Throughout human history, there had been numerous children such as Mozart, Picasso, Bobby Fischer, who stand out for their advanced knowledge and incredible abilities. But remarkably, these incredible talents and intelligence are the product of good genetics. Or could there be another explanation for why there are some children play their abilities beyond the previous generation? Could these so-called star children really have the superhuman abilities? And if so, where do they come from? And is it possible the star children have been with us for thousands of years? Ancient astronaut theorists say evidence that the star children may have existed on Earth in the distant past can be found in the story of a date back over 2,000 years. For example, the mind behind Pythagoras' advanced knowledge. In the 6th century BC in Greece, Mnesarchus, a father of the great philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras, was traveling home from work one day when he came upon an abandoned infant staring at the sun without blinking, and a delicate little straw in its mouth like a reed pipe. So his father wasn't really his biological father. He found an abandoned infant staring at the sun without blinking. Mnesarchus became more astonished when he noticed that the baby was surviving by the dew dropping from the big tree over his head. Mnesarchus named his baby Astrios, which literally means Starchild in Greek, and he is an early example of the magical child. Astrios raised with Pythagoras and his 2 brothers, so he was the part of the family. According to the Greek myth, Mnesarchus gave the child to Pythagoras to be a servant and apprentice. Although Pythagoras is considered one of the history's greatest mathematical minds, some ancient astronaut theorists believe he may have received advanced knowledge from the boy Astrios. It's believed that Astrios, the star child, was actually sent to Earth in order to instruct Pythagoras, whose concept became the foundation of the civilized ancient world. Legends of Pythagoras. In various chronicles, ancient documents, and folklores, there can be found a number of legends based on Pythagoras' life. Aristotle describes Pythagoras as a wonder worker and somewhat of a supernatural figure. According to Aristotle's writing, Pythagoras had a golden thigh, which he publicly exhibited at the Olympic Games and showed to Boris the Hyperborean as proof of his identity as the Hyperborean Apollo. Pythagoras was supposedly once seen at both Metapontum and Croton at the same time. In other words, he was capable of bilocation or translocation. When Pythagoras crossed the river Kosas, now Basento, several witnesses reported that they heard it welcome him by name. In Roman times, the legend claimed that Pythagoras was the son of Apollo. Aristotle further wrote that when a deadly snake bit Pythagoras, he bit it back and killed it. Later, Porphyry and Iamblichus, both philosophers, reported that Pythagoras once persuaded a bull not to eat beans, and that he once convinced a notoriously destructive bear to swear that it would never harm a living thing again, and that bear kept its word. So these stories make it suspicious about Pythagoras that there was something different that set him apart from humans. Many believe that Astrius was behind all these Pythagoras' divine powers. The Starchild Skull and its hidden mysteries. In 1920, in Copper Canyon, Mexico, while exploring a mine tunnel, a teenage girl unearthed two skulls. One was clearly normal, while the other proved much more mysterious, being 900 years old, as per its radiocarbon dating test, and according to the dentist, to examine the upper jaw of the mysterious relic, distinctly showed that it came from a child no more than 5 years old. The skull is now known as the Starchild Skull. Mainstream scientists insist the deformation of the Starchild Skull is actually caused by genetic disorder, mostly like hydrocephalus, a condition in which the abnormal amount of fluid is filled in the skull to enlarge. But paranormal researcher and caretaker of the skull, Lloyd Pye, who died December 9, 2013, had ruled out this possibility based on its unique shape. A hydrocephalus skull abnormally blows up like a balloon with different shapes, and due to this, the groove in the backside of the skull does not remain, but there can be seen a clear groove in the Starchild Skull, Lloyd said. But many researchers are not only baffled by the volume of the skull, which measures more than 10% larger than an average adult, but also the other characteristics that distinctly say it is not of any human. The Starchild Skull has half the thickness of ordinary human bones, and also twice as dense as ordinary human bone, with a consistency more similar to dental enamel. The skull is bizarrely strong, and seems like there are some extra powerful webs inside the bone. Additionally, the Starchild Skull has also the reddish recede that appears to be very similar to the bone marrow, but different from all we normally have. And in the comparison of the Starchild Skull, the human skull, the fiber and red residue woven in the Starchild Skull bone is reminiscent of rebar and increases the strength of the bone by as much as 6 times stronger than a normal human skull. And also, we see that the human skull, compared to the Starchild Skull, there are no visible sinuses in the Starchild Skull. Now, to make things strange, there are no sinus cavities inside the skull of the Starchild, as well as there are so many attachments that human beings don't have. The ears on the Starchild Skull are considerably lower, and the hearing region is twice as big as a normal skull. The skull appears to be some sort of hybridization as part human, and as big, it's twice as big as normal skull. Hybridization, part human, also part something else. When the Starchild Skull is subjected to forensic reconstruction, the face that is produced appears nearly similar to descriptions of gray aliens It had very unusual eyes, an expanded head with a very narrow lower face, and it had a master brain inside it. Lloyd Pye carried out the Starchild project, working with some independent researchers to determine exactly who or what this unusual skull belongs to. According to Lloyd, the DNA test results carried out in 2003 revealed a shocking result. While scientists uncovered the mitochondrial DNA, or DNA that inherits only from its mother, they were unable to detect the nuclear DNA, or DNA from both the mother and father, in spite of 6 attempts. They realized that there was something wrong with the father's DNA, and as per the evidence, they concluded that the child was a hybrid of a human mother and an alien father. But more advanced DNA testing in 2011 revealed something even more shocking, that the DNA not only of the father but also the mother did not appear to be humans after all. Now the genetic evidence indicates that the child did not have a human mother too, he was just purely alien. Later research on the Starchild Skull. Later in 2016, a new Starchild Skull project was held by a completely independent and self-funded research group consisting of professional scientists. They conducted an in-depth investigation of the Starchild Skull, and the results were published on the website The Field Reports. By May, Joe Taylor and Aaron Judkins, PhD, were prominently notable figures of the research team. Upon testing the mitochondrial DNA of the Starchild Skull, they found that the child was a male and his mother was a Native American from the haplogroup C1. They concluded the strange shape of the Starchild Skull, saying there are several different disorders that can cause this, including genetic diseases and tumors. Aaron Judkins, PhD, describes this shape as brachycephalic and discounted the popular theory of hydrocephalic. They further asserted, although they have concluded that Starchild Skull is fully human, some of the examinations did find anomalies that were not definitively explained through the DNA tests. According to them, the ancient DNA was not viable enough to be tested for genetic diseases at that time. Conclusion: indigo children, or so-called star children, are born with a non-physical intelligence. They are very sensitive. They always have a mission sense. They use such gifted born powers such as telepathy, in which they could perceive the sense thoughts of another person, and they have special qualities and psychic abilities that can heal or transform the society, giving us a new way of understanding all things around us. And this is on Collect a Spark by Inhale Ancient Mysteries. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.